Welcome to Let's Talk Learning Disabilities with Laurie Peterson. Laurie spends her days talking about dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and ADHD. She talks to students and adults who have had a lifetime of academic challenges. She's here to share their stories along with other insights with you. So let's talk learning disabilities.
Hey everybody, this is Laurie and welcome back to Let's Talk Learning Disabilities. Just a quick note about our episode today. My interview with Jan, who you're going to meet here in a few minutes, it went a little long, so we decided that we couldn't fit it all into one episode. There was just too much valuable information to share, so we've decided to split it into two parts. In this first episode, you're going to get to meet Jan and hear a little bit about how we know each other and our love of neurodiverse students, and then come back for episode 2 and we'll talk a little bit more, and you'll just have to wait till then to hear what it's all about. Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Learning Disabilities. This is Laurie, and I think we're at episode number 112. So as you all know, like I am every week, I'm shocked we've made it this far, but I'm super excited. And I'm so glad you guys are all back again for another great episode. Today, I have what I believe to be a very special guest. My good friend, Jan Van Blarcum, is here. Now, Jan and I go way, way back. We go way back before, I don't know. It's been a really long time. Before I was really getting into the heart of what I get to do now, I knew Jan. And so Jan had reached out to me. She owned a tutoring company. She felt like her students might benefit from some testing. Maybe my students that I tested might benefit from some tutoring. And from that, a amazing friendship was born. So I'm excited to have Jan here. She runs a school here in Plano. She's going to tell us all about it. We're going to talk a little bit about private schools today. Jan, thanks for being here.
I'm so glad to be here today. And I was just thinking about, we do go way back. It's probably been about 15, 18 years.
That's crazy.
And
because we're not that old. We met in childhood, apparently.
Well, and I just remember how nervous I was meeting you for the first time. And it has been really exciting to watch you build your business and to see a dream come true. We started off with a tutoring business that I had opened, and I eventually franchised that. And you went with me, through all of that, all the good, the bad, the ugly with that. I'm an entrepreneur. And so I absolutely love small business. And when I think about what small business does for America and the fact that small business owners employ more than 50% of the population, we really kick butt.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
We do. And we employ, men, women, people of all different ages. And I love being in the education sector because, at the Einstein School, that is a nonprofit school. And we're able to, deliver, on a promise to parents about, providing an academic environment that's going to best suit their child.
So back up. How did you get into education, and then what led you to open the Einstein School?
My tutoring business, I opened it because of my oldest daughter, severely dyslexic. You tested her, a matter of fact.
I did.
And I'm a dyslexic person, and so I remember just how hard it was to learn to read and to write, and the frustration that I had, and the double-edged sword. My dad was in the military, so I moved probably at that point in my life every school year at least once, sometimes twice. So it was always picking up and starting over. If I really didn't have a mother that was going to just dig in and really force schools to listen and help me, I am 62 years old. I don't have no trouble telling people. And back in the day when they were diagnosing dyslexia, I remember going to, a hospital, and they had all these little sticker things in my head. Seriously. And what I'll even tell you, how tragically this sounds, but it is true. My dad was in the military service, and so at one point he transitioned into embassy duties. Uh-huh. And my family had to go get pictures taken. And the whole story was, they just want to see, what we all look like, and that we, dress up, nicely, like you're going to church. So we all got dressed up and we went and got these pictures taken. Well, it was because they had to see if I had a disability and if it was noticeable.
Seriously?
Honest.
They thought you might look dyslexic.
I might look different.
Right.
And how would that represent our country in another country?
Oh, how sad.
And because I had dyslexia and nobody really understood it.
Yeah.
And that I guess they thought I was going to
Like how your eyes cross or something.
something strange. I have no idea. I don't know I don't know what they thought they were going to see, but
When did you realize that's what the whole point of that was? How long?
Not until I was an adult.
Yeah.
My parents
It's probably good.
talked about it. It makes me angry when I think about it to this day, because I don't care if you have a physical disability, if you have a cognitive disability. Every person is a unique learner, and they're a unique individual. And my whole goal is to help children find a way to become a productive citizen. And yes, I do want kids to be able to go to college and enjoy the experiences in college. Colleges across the country are built for all different kinds of learners. So it doesn't matter if you're a neurodiverse person. There is going to be experiences for you. If you have the determination and the desire to do the work, we'll be able to help you get there.
So not to toot my own horn, but I'm gonna, because you did actually start the Einstein School in my office, which I find comical because now I could probably office in your school. But you just, it was like, you just had to do it. And I remember we talked about it. And I remember it took a lot of you were like, this is never going to take, no one's ever going to want, this is never going to work out. But sure enough, you opened up with 2 or 3 kids.
Yes.
And by the time the first semester ended, you had 10 and I was kicking you out.
Well, I asked you to go work at Starbucks.
You did a couple times, yeah.
You didn't take me up on that. Great offer.
Yeah.
But the reality is I opened because my youngest daughter was being bullied at another school. And I went to help them because actually I knew that there would be a lot of things we could do at that school. And I could help them take on, my mission. But they weren't interested. And I wasn't going to let her continue to be in an environment that wasn't going to inspire her. And I'm really lucky because now that child is 26 years old, and I get to see the confident young woman that we had dreamed about at that time. And I was so fearful that what she was going through could have been something that would alter the way she was going to approach education and her own future. But now I get to see it in the rearview mirror, and it was the best thing. And I was able to do that. I remember calling you saying, I'm opening a school. Oh, that's great. When is it going to start? In August? And we opened, on the actual first day, I had 4 students.
Okay.
By the end of the second week, I had 6, and we kept on, and I kept taking more space within your space. And fortunately, you weren't all day there.
Nope.
And then that building, we just started renting other rooms in the building. And then by the spring, I moved to the building that I'm in now with 49 students. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
And really what happened was I was doing no advertising, but the students that came, those first original 4, they went and told their friends about it. And then their friends were coming, and I would meet their friends, and I'd say, please bring your parent. But I'd be happy to talk to them, but they have to come. And they did. They brought their parents in droves. And the parents were looking for help. And this is way before pandemic, way before some of the, So
what was it? What was the thing that these kids needed that you could provide?
They wanted somebody who cared about them as a person and their education and what was going to happen to them in their future.
And were these kids that all had learning disabilities? Were they kids that obviously they're all different, but what would you say, if you could give me a profile of that student?
So in the early years, I had students that were coming because of dyslexia, anxiety, maybe
some ADHD.
Some ADHD, absolutely. Then there was also sort of maybe some defiance against wanting to do the schoolwork. And really, I learned quickly those kids needed to trust us.
Yeah.
And then as I grew, we saw more families finding us that were, on the autism spectrum. And so the sort of that level 1, the old terminology, Asperger's, those students work really well in our community. And we learned in the very early stages, it was easy when we had 4, 6, 8 students. We do keep a ratio for our lower school kids between, maybe I'll open a school year with 6 in a class, we'll grow to 8. In the high school, I'll grow from really about 8 to 10 and then to 12. But we really don't want to go over 12. I will take a student throughout the year. We do rolling admissions. And I will take a student if it's going to push my number over to 13 or 14 in a class, if it's towards the end of the semester and it's a high school, the high school kids tell me, hey, we're all good with it. We're fine. But our teacher connection, that connection is really, really important. So early on, I decided that we were just going to call everybody by our first names. And really, that's been hard for some parents.
I love it.
Some parents are like, what?
Yeah.
That's disrespectful. I'm like, oh no. I said, I want to shed. I need to shed the PhD. I need to shed, the Mr. and Mrs. We just need to be who we are. And those kids, those children, those students, they need to understand that they have someone they can come to. And you'd be surprised. The title, maybe the suit with a tie, those kind of things are what children feel are these barriers between connecting to the adult. And that was, in the very beginning, something that differentiated us. And it showed children that we really cared about them as people.
It's more of a mentor relationship, right? And it's a relationship.
It's a true relationship. We know what's going on in your kids' lives. We spend more time in their day when they're awake than you do. And that's true. And so, students, we have an open door policy in my office. Students come to me all the time. They want to stop and talk to me about something. And if it's not me in the building now and it's somebody else that they're connecting to, we have that policy with everybody. And it works.
That is amazing. And it is my favorite part about your school. And I do, when I talk to parents about it, and I always share that I think it's really cool that the teachers all go by their first name, and it's more of a mentoring. And I think you get more buy-in from the kids when they build those relationships.
And it makes it where they're not afraid to talk to the adult. And some of my families, when they go to these college tours, they'll come back and they'll say, Jan, my child was the first one with their hand up. My child said, oh, no, I want to wait and I want to meet them afterwards. I want to go up and talk to them. And they're like, this is not the person that
came here.
Yeah. And so families really see a transition with their student, and confidence is built. And children are not afraid to go up and say, I don't understand this. We don't have a competitive spirit in the classroom. It's really collaborative. I love it when my math teachers, there are some kids who are naturally great at math, and they're going to know math because they just woke up and their brain's going to process it and they're just going to know it. There's going to be a lot of other kids who are like me. That math was never my thing. And by the time you're a middle school student, maybe that 6th, 7th grade, if you're a female and you've decided that you're no good in math,
you're not going to be good at math.
You're not going to be good at math. Your self-talk is really important. So we are helping turn students around, not just female students, male students as well, but they're coming back and they're saying, I kind of like this. Wait a minute, math isn't so hard. It's just about learning the language of math. And I'm not talking about what the words mean, but it's the way that you think about math. If you are teaching children with rote memorization of facts, if you're teaching them just to regurgitate out, what they're learning, they're not learning, they're memorizing. And your brain can only hold so much in its memory.
You have to engage with math.
Yes, you have to be able to think through it. You've got to be able to figure it out. And sometimes I'll tell kids, we're really working to help build grit in the classroom, but there will be times when you are frustrated. And it's okay. Get frustrated, you get through it, and wow, it just you can almost feel the euphoria that comes out when they finally get it.
So how do you deal with kids that come to you that are, behind academically, that they're not, because of whatever struggles they've experienced, whether it be the anxiety or the dyslexia? How do you handle those kids that come to you that are in 9th grade but can't, are working on a 5th grade math level or reading on, how does that work in those situations?
We do have a support service team, and so students I can actually schedule them in support services for additional help. So if they're significantly behind, we'll start off that way with them.
Not to where they get pulled out of class, but they're actually scheduled for a class.
They're just scheduled there.
That's nice.
And because, let's be honest, if you're the only one in the room who's not understanding it, there's no comprehension about, are you going to feel like you want to say, I don't understand?
Right.
No, you're going to be the kid who's sitting in the back, hiding around, behind, their screen, not wanting to be noticed. So let's put them in an environment where it's safe. And then once they start, really, gathering and learning, there are some times when a student comes to me, and let's say they're about a year behind, I can place them in one period that would be the class that's going to build grit for them. I could also give them a second period, and let's just use math as that example, a second period in the day, totally different teacher, different material, that's going to be the easier math for them, that's going to build the confidence. And in 1 year, we really gained 3 or 4 years worth of math. And then what I really, really love is that when I have kids who come at a young age and they do that, they will move on that track. We always teach our algebra. You can start that at 7th grade, 8th grade, or 9th. We always teach algebra. Then the next year, we're going to always teach algebra 2.
That just makes sense.
And it makes sense. You never leave algebraic thinking. Why would we need to? Well, some students by that point are really motivated. They will take geometry as a second math during that year. And, that's a game changer.
Wow.
And we see that a lot of struggling students who will do that. But then what that does is they understand that it opens them up for some of our more advanced math. I have kids doing advanced math who you would have never thought that child's going to be on the track to do calculus.
Wow.
And it's really rewarding when you see that.
What about the social emotional aspects for these kids? A lot of these kids have either come because they've been struggling, so they have that negative self-talk. Some of them have a lot of social anxiety, a lot of performance anxiety. How do you see this environment change that for them?
In most middle schools or younger grades, there's something called specials. Mm-hmm. So specials, you get to have one day PE and another day maybe some art, another day music. Well, all of our students, we have a 6 or 7 class period. So you'll have your classes 5 days a week, the same schedule. But you'll take English, math, history, science. And then for that student who I need to build their confidence to get up and speak in front of people, well, great. We have a wonderful performing arts program for our lower school students. They also do quite a bit of improv, and it's about learning to say, yes, I can do this, yes. It's getting them on their feet and making them have an environment where it feels almost like play, especially with those younger students. They're pretending and doing that at home anyway, right? And so that builds, some confidence there. And it also gives their brain, they're using their brain differently. So when you're in those core subjects, English, math, history, science, maybe a foreign language, your brain is going to be used differently if you're doing something in performing arts. We have musical instruments. So we have rock band, which I'm so thrilled with. We have kids who are playing the drums, electric guitar, electric bass, they're singing, and they collaborate and they're preparing for concerts. We have great musicians in our rock band, but it will make your jaw drop when you listen to our piano players. We have kids who are starting at lower school or the beginning, type of, music, all the way to very advanced. I've had students who joined our school that maybe started playing violin and viola at age 4 or age 7. And when you see that beautiful instrument, and a child is, making that instrument have those sounds. What's wonderful is if there's a student who has started those instruments later in life, well, we create ensembles that give parts to all different level players. So the weaker musicians have the benefit of being a part of some really elaborate music, and that draws the confidence, and it helps them. They want to keep practicing. So I have students who will start, they're receiving their class for 45 minutes every day, but the parent will come and tell me, we're playing cello at 5 a.m. at home. And you help draw that child into these elective type of classes, and they get enough opportunity to experience the class, not little driblets of time, and they only get to see it so many minutes in a week. They're getting a full class every day. And we launched culinary, we went all in. And so we have culinary from 5th grade all the way through 12th. So food science is what we call it for the high school. But again, they're on their feet. They're learning how to chop. They're learning how to, cut with knives. They're learning how to, and in our building, they're cooking on convection ovens. Yeah. They're cooking with, cooktops. But they're cooking great food, and they're learning about the nutrition and why that's healthy. Well, then some students that are my anxious kids, they kind of need a break in the day. Mm-hmm. So besides the fact that we do have some Zen rooms in case someone needs it on demand, but we offer yoga, and very few schools offer yoga. Well, our students, they're getting fit with yoga. We also have Peloton bikes and ellipticals and some of the equipment. Our facilities don't really lend towards like an outdoor PE. But we do so much within our day to keep kids physically moving and being active that they are able to then, after school hours, go to a soccer, be a part of, community club sports. But we did this year launch our high school basketball team. We launched it's really
That's
fantastic.
awesome.
We've got basketball. We also have cross country. Next year we're opening up the men and women's volleyball. So we have a golf team. So we're getting, physical as well.
I love that.
And so all of that helps, I think, with the neurodivergent kids. They are able to be in their core subjects, and everybody is mixing very well in all of our elective classes. And as we build somebody who was maybe a delayed learner and they're now on grade level, they're going to be mixed with kids that are average learners to some of the other neurodivergent students. They're blending themselves together, and the weaker students will always work to the higher level students in the classroom.
Absolutely.
When it is through average. Now, my neurodivergent kids who might be more average learners, they're eventually getting in with my more gifted students. And of course, then they're all accelerating to a higher level.
That's a wrap on part 1 of our conversation with Jan from the Einstein School. But don't go too far. We have more to share in the second part of this interview. So be sure to come back to the next episode. We're going to pick up right where we left off. You're not going to want to miss it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. In our show notes, you can find information about today's talk, as well as links to resources and other episodes. If you have questions about today's talk, have ideas for future episodes, or just want to stay connected, you can contact us through Diagnostic Learning Services on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So, let's keep talking learning disabilities. This podcast is sponsored by eDiagnostic Learning. You can find more information at www.ediagnosticlearning.com.